Did you know most dog bites don't happen out of nowhere, but after signals almost nobody knows how to read? Today you're going to spot what most people miss. If you live with a dog, have kids, or even just say hi to dogs on the street, this matters. Catching even one signal early can prevent a serious scare. Stick around to the end, because some of these signals look harmless, but they're exactly the ones people misread the most. Shake off to release tension. Have you ever seen your dog shake like they just got out of the bath, even though they're completely dry? That shake often shows up after a scare, too intense petting, a tense run-in with another dog, or even stepping off the vet's exam table. It's a super common way to release tension, like a full-body reset that helps your dog get back to neutral. What matters most is the context. If your dog shakes once and then their body softens, great. But if it keeps happening, that's a clue. The environment is getting to be too much. Your dog's telling you the situation's too much, and they need more space, more breaks, or a calmer way out. Scratching is a displacement behavior. Sometimes a dog scratches because something itches, but other times, a dog scratches because they don't know what to do with the feeling. That's displacement behavior, a normal action that shows up out of context when there's tension, internal conflict, or social pressure. You might see it right before greeting someone, when a stranger leans in too much, or when another dog is staring them down. All of a sudden, your dog scratches an ear or their neck like they can't sit with the moment. It's a pressure release, like your dog saying, "I need a second." The key is watching the exact moment and the rest of the body. If the scratching shows up as a pause in a tense moment, it's usually stress release. And if it comes with looking away, a tighter mouth, or fast breathing, it's even clearer. In those cases, instead of pushing it, lower the pressure. Ease up, create space, and don't force a greeting. Yawning. A yawn in a dog is almost never about being tired. A lot of the time, it's a stress yawn, a self-soothing way to release tension when things feel like a bit much. That's why you'll see it during intense training, when guests arrive, or in the vet waiting room. And watch during dog-to-dog moments. If your dog yawns while getting stiff or giving side-eye, they may be trying to calm down before things escalate. When your dog yawns in front of another dog or a person, they're saying they don't want conflict and they need space or calm. They're not doing it on purpose, but in dog language, it's loud and clear. In those moments, the best move is to dial things down, create space, or let your dog step away so they don't have to keep handling that stress. Lip licking. A quick lip lick or nose lick that lasts a second is usually a calming signal or a sign of discomfort. It happens so fast that it often goes unnoticed, but it's packed with meaning. A lot of dogs do it when a hand comes too close to the face, when people invade their personal space with hugs, or when they feel social pressure. It can also show up right after a small scare, like thunder or a sudden noise in the hallway, as your dog tries to self-soothe. That said, context matters. If you just grabbed food, you're using treats in training, or your dog just took a drink, licking is totally normal. What's interesting is when it happens with no food around. In those cases, that tiny signal is telling you something feels off, and your dog's trying to stay calm without starting trouble. If you see it, slow down, soften your posture, and give your dog space. And if it happens when another dog approaches, create more distance and redirect with treats. A lot of the time, that's all it takes for the signal to disappear. Stalking walk. You can spot a stalking walk right away. Your dog takes slow steps, body low, neck stretched out, with a locked-in stare. Sometimes it's prey drive, sometimes it's play that's gotten too intense, and other times it's social tension. The problem is it can look like focus, but it's usually high arousal underneath. Watch the other dog. If they freeze, go stiff, or try to get away, this isn't healthy play. In these cases, step in before things escalate. To do that, just call your dog, break that straight line, and create distance between them. In the city, this pattern can also show up from overstimulation around bikes, kids running, or nearby dogs. Raised hackles. When the fur along a dog's back stands up, a lot of people automatically think they're about to attack, but raised hackles don't mean aggression all by themselves. It's piloerection, an automatic nervous system response that signals high activation. It can show up from fear, excitement, uncertainty, or conflict, even in dogs who later act friendly. In fact, some dogs get raised hackles when meeting a new dog, and it goes back down once they feel comfortable. The key is not focusing only on the ridge of fur. Look at your dog's mouth, their eyes, and where their weight is. Are they loose and curved, or stiff and leaning forward? Can your dog look away and sniff, or are they stuck and locked in? If the fur goes up and the rest of your dog's body stiffens too, that's a clear sign the situation is becoming too much. In those cases, it's smart to lower the pressure, create space, and give your dog an exit before you hear a growl or something worse. High tail with a stiff wag. A wagging tail usually means happiness. A high tail with a wag can show up when your dog's happy, excited, and ready to engage. For a lot of dogs, it's a sign of joy, especially if the body is loose, the mouth is relaxed, and the tail movement is wide, with the hips moving too. There's no conflict there. It's friendly energy, but sometimes that's not what's happening. And the key is the details. When the tail is very high and the wag turns short, stiff, and almost vibrating, it's less about calm happiness and more about arousal and control. And if you also see a stiff body, weight shifted forward, a fixed stare, or a closed mouth, it might be insecurity or social tension. If you notice it, don't crowd your dog. Don't reach over their head, and create a bit of space. When the tail drops a little and the movement gets wider, that's often a sign your dog is settling back into a more relaxed state. Tail tucked all the way. When the tail is completely tucked between the legs, the message is usually clear. Fear or strong discomfort. Your dog's trying to look smaller and not be noticed. Sometimes it comes with a crouched body, ears pinned back, and an avoiding look, like they're saying, "Please, I need space." It can also come with shaking, or your dog pressing up against a wall, looking for a spot where nobody can crowd them. The classic mistake here is trying to make your dog get over it by forcing them closer to the trigger. If your dog's in full tail tuck mode, they're not learning. They're trying to survive. What helps most is lowering the threat level. Move away. Put yourself between your dog and what's worrying them and give them an exit without yanking the leash. If your dog offers curiosity later on their own, great, but keep the pressure off. Refusing food. If your dog is usually the type who shows up the second they hear a treat bag and suddenly they won't even sniff it, that's a huge clue. A lot of the time, it means they're over their stress or excitement threshold. In other words, their brain is so busy processing the environment that food stops mattering. It's common at the vet, in crowded parks, or when that one dog shows up that makes them tense. In that moment, the answer isn't to insist, it's to help. Add distance from the trigger, find a quieter spot, and give your dog time to sniff and breathe. When your dog starts eating again, that's usually the sign their system's regulating and the stress or excitement is coming down. Trembling. Seeing a dog tremble can be scary, and for good reason. But trembling doesn't have just one cause. It can be cold, pain, nausea, fear, or anxiety. That's why context matters so much. If your dog trembles at home after a cold walk, they're probably just cold. If your dog trembles right when a firecracker goes off, a stranger walks in, or you arrive at the vet, it's most often an emotional response. And if it comes along with fast breathing, a tucked tail, or trying to hide, it's even more obvious. Your dog's clearly telling you the situation is overwhelming. In those moments, instead of demanding bravery, help your dog feel safe. Give your dog distance and a place where they can feel secure. And if trembling is frequent, intense, or happens at home for no clear reason, it's worth talking to your vet to rule out pain or another physical issue. Freezing up. There's a moment a lot of people miss. When your dog goes totally still, like they just powered down. That's not calm, it's assessment. And a lot of bites happen right after a freeze that got ignored. Sometimes it lasts a second. Other times it turns into full body stiffness with a closed mouth and wide eyes. Think of this like a yellow light at an intersection. If you see it, stop the interaction, stop moving closer, and create space. It's important not to touch your dog to calm them down if they're rigid, because for some dogs that feels like more pressure. Instead, give your dog an exit and offer space. Your goal is to help your dog start moving freely again. When the body unlocks and the face softens, that's when you can guide the situation in a better direction. Letting out a sigh. A dog's sigh can be a sign of relaxation. Sometimes it happens when your dog lies down, rests their head, and their body loosens, like they're letting go of the last bit of tension. It can also show up after an intense moment as a physical release. But just like with us, there's also the bored sigh or the frustrated sigh. The way to tell is to watch what happens next. Do they soften, lower the head, and rest? Then they're probably regulating. Do they seem checked out, stiff, or do they avoid looking at you? In that case, it's safest to assume they're overloaded. Hiding behind a person. When your dog slips behind your legs or presses into you like you're a shield, they're not being clingy. They're using your body as a barrier to create distance and feel safe. It's a very common strategy in insecure dogs. They'd rather tuck in behind someone they trust than face the trigger. You'll often see it with visitors, loud noises, dogs approaching head-on, or new situations where your dog doesn't feel in control. What matters is how you respond. If you pull the leash to drag your dog out to say hi, you add pressure and can trigger a reaction. What helps is being a real shield. Step between your dog and the trigger. Don't let the person or dog crowd their space, and give your dog an exit. Give your dog a few seconds, let them watch without anyone pushing in, and reinforce calm. If this is your dog, you'll need to build confidence. And that happens little by little, never by forcing them to face situations head-on. Low, steady growl. A deep, sustained growl is a clear form of communication. In most cases, it means, "I need distance," or "I don't like this." It can show up from fear, pain, resource guarding, or social overload. And it's an incredibly valuable signal because it comes before a bite. But here's the important part. Punishing a growl is a bad idea because it doesn't remove the emotion, it just shuts off the warning. The risk is that next time your dog goes straight to a bite with no warning. The The right move is to listen to the message and change the situation. Pause the interaction, back off, lower the pressure, and look at what triggered it. Good handling isn't winning a power struggle every time your dog growls. It's making sure your dog doesn't need to escalate to be understood. Showing teeth. When a dog lifts their lip and shows teeth with a tense face and a hard mouth, that's a crystal clear warning. It usually shows up when your dog feels trapped, when someone's pushed too far into their space, when someone tries to take something away, or when they're very frustrated and don't know how to get out of the situation. It's more explicit than a soft growl, and a lot of the time it comes after earlier signals got ignored, like turning the head away, lip licking, or trying to move off. In that moment, the worst thing you can do is get closer, scold, or try to touch their face. The best move is to calmly stop the interaction and increase distance. After that, you can figure out what led to it. But your priority is making sure your dog doesn't feel like they have to bite. If it happens during handling, consider pain as a possible cause. And if it happens often, it's worth getting professional help. Air snap. Biting the air without making contact is a very clear stop right now. It often happens when your dog feels trapped or when earlier signals didn't work. It's an inhibited bite, basically a last warning before things escalate. At home, you might see it when someone keeps pushing petting, when they're shoved off their spot, or when someone crowds them while they're resting. After an air snap, the question isn't whether your dog is bad, it's what situation pushed them there. Were they being held, crowded, cornered, bothered while eating, or bothered while resting? Instead of punishing it, avoid repeating the scenario and find better ways to manage those moments. An air snap is an important warning because your dog is still giving you a chance to change the situation. If it keeps happening, get professional help to address the cause, because you're very close to the next level. With that, you've got the 16 signals that often show up before a dog says, "That's enough." If you take away one idea, let it be this. It's not about being afraid. It's about knowing how to read what your dog is trying to communicate. Now, I want you to keep learning about your buddy, so check out the video you see on screen. In it, I break down 20 really clear signs your dog truly loves you, the kind that changes the way you look at your dog. Tap the image to jump into the video and watch it now.